Hello. Welcome back to the Coming Home to You Sparkcast, the sanctuary for soul-led women, healers, mamas, visionaries, and leaders who are ready to rise fully in their light. Here we remember what it means to come home to ourselves, beyond the roles and the noise and the expectations, because coming home to you is not a destination. It's really a devotion. So this is a space where progress matters more than perfection. And every episode is that invitation to you, a step on that journey, a breath of remembrance, and a chance to reconnect with your true self and embrace the unique path unfolding before you. And now, before we dive in, let's begin, as we always do, with our sacred one breath, one heart ritual. It's a moment to align, to unify, and return to one heart together. Let's breathe as one. So wherever you are, just settle in. Drop your shoulders to the ground. Put one hand in your heart and the other hand rests in your womb, in your belly. And I want you to take a deep breath in through your nose and pull that breath up to the top of your crown, holding it here for 4 counts. When you breathe out slowly with 6 counts through pursed lips, I want you to imagine just releasing and letting go of anything weighing you down, anything from yesterday or this morning. And when you take the next deep breath in, I want you to think of something to be grateful for, that you're grateful for today. And as you hold that gratitude in your crown chakra, just feel it expanding. And when you breathe out slowly, allow it to bring a smile to your face and a smile with your whole body. And I want you to take another deep breath in here. Stack another moment of gratitude. And this time I want you to settle it in your heart center. And I want you to allow that to glow and to expand and to fill you up with the gratitude for those moments. And as you slowly breathe out, I want you to visualize that gratitude rippling out to every woman in this room and everyone watching who could use a little bit of extra love and gratitude in their life today. And now ground yourself in your intention. How do you want to be received? How do you want to be held in this space, to be seen? And when one breath and one heart, we may now begin. So, that was a good one. Today, I am honored to welcome my guest, Valery B Ireland, a transformational health coach, mentor, and thought leader who has been guiding others for over 15 years in health, nutrition, psychology, and whole person healing. Through her program, Empowered to the Core, her books, and her bilingual podcast, Rise and Shine, which in Spanish is Levántate y Brilla. Beautiful. I need to tune in on that one. Valery has become a guardian of health, an agent of change, and a voice for living authenticity, resiliency, and being free. So please help me welcome my beautiful, radiant guest today, Valery B Ireland, to the Sparkcast. Hola, mi amor.
Hi. Hola. Thank
Welcome.
you so much. Thank you so much for that lovely introduction.
Great. So, as we usually start the first question with that grounded, rooted truth, that moment where you said enough, right?
Mm.
And you've been on this healing path for 26 years already, long before you even stepped into leadership as a coach and mentor. Can you please share with us that first spark, that moment that first sparked your journey and how your roots have shaped the woman that you are today?
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you for having me here. And what an honor it is to be here and sharing, right? So, yeah, I've learned, I'll begin by saying that I've learned that self-expression is not just a gift, it's a responsibility. So I feel honored to share my story because perhaps this will activate somebody else into beginning their journey as well. So what sparked the not enoughness in me was a near to death experience, actually. I had I knew I had a problem and I didn't act on it until it really hit me ground, hit me hard. Um so in my journey, I used to turn to food for comfort. Food was my friend, my lover, my acquaintance, my even my enemy. I mean, because it wasn't a satiated enoughness in when I was consuming it. And so that one time, I had had many consequences already, but that one time, what started with one piece of chocolate turned into two boxes. And I didn't really know what happened to me. And I went in a sugar coma. And the moment I woke up with a deep breath like that, I was like, I saw my whole life flash in front of me. And I knew I had to seek help or else. And I had a feeling in my core, in my heart. And I know you believe so much about core and heart as well, that 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 I had a purpose. So I went in my mind thinking I'm not enough, but deep inside, something told me I was. And so I made that decision that changed my life forever.
That is beautiful. Wow, it's interesting how sometimes it does take a real big moment for us to wake up and
Mhm.
listen to the truth of who we are. And so much of our patterning and our programming has us feeling that we're never going to be enough, that we're never good enough, and that we're broken in some way because who we are is triggering people or creating
Mhm.
situations where you're like, I had no idea. So can you tell us a little bit more about like what got you to that place of the not enoughness?
Yes. So that was a journey, right? It's almost like I raised my little flag of surrender and I said, I can't do this anymore. I realized that much of what I wanted to control was controlling me. Um, I realized that the world of pretend that I was living wasn't a cocoon that I made it seem that like I make it seem. It was a cage, and I was trapped in it. And so that made me start the journey of getting to know who I really am, and there was no turning back. And so the journey was not easy, um but I knew I didn't want to be where I was before. I knew that there was that just wasn't a way of living. It was barely surviving. And that started my journey, and it's a self-discovery journey into self-mastery, and it's ongoing, right? Because we always find more about ourselves. And it was just the willingness. What got me enough, it was just the willingness. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I was fed up, and I knew no other way. So I had to step into the unknown and get out of that comfort zone that almost killed me. And that journey just uh, was beautiful indeed. And I realized that that void, insatiable void that was inside of me, that no amount of food or anything outside would fill, had the shape of me and the shape of God. And
Mm.
so that is when I met the true God, not the punitive one, not the one I was made believe that, I was a mistake and he hates me. No, I met the all loving, all knowing, all powerful, all forgiving God. And that just, it was a healing journey that started the healing journey. And so it is my duty and my desire to, reach out my hand and help others cross that bridge, because I was building the bridge while crossing it, and I know of the journey, and it took me a long time. So I've developed a path that is it takes you faster to your heart, so you can reshape it and remodel it and express your true feelings.
I love what you said about building the bridge as you're walking through it. And that is really what the journey looks like. It's not wait for it to be built for you. It's not a one and done situation. You got to go back and fix the potholes after a while because it is old patterns that we are unbreaking. Like we're creating a new reality and a new belief system. And a lot of that comes from overcoming and reframing, right? Because so many of
Mhm.
us struggle with those cycles of self-sabotage and disconnection from our bodies. So what was that pivotal moment in your life when you chose to rise above the patterns? What was that big negative pattern that you shifted, and how did it really shape the shift the way that you changed and how you help others?
Yeah. I perfectionism. That was one thing that if Valerie wasn't perfect, and this is what kept me caged in the world of pretend, because there's no such thing as perfection. And so I was never vulnerable. I was never authentic. I was never all these things that I created an acronym called value, which is the real you. And so it's about the progress. It's about the process. It's not about perfection. And so that took me perhaps the longest, and that kept me in the trap of people pleasing because it, it, I was too much, too loud, too expressive, too emotional. So I learned to shut down and just literally be whoever the next person wanted me to be in order to feel loved, approved, validated, accepted, at the expense of my own well-being. And so I call it the chameleon effect. I would, turn blue, orange, depending on who the person was. And I was excellent at adapting. And I learned that early on in my life. And what used to be a curse now is a gift, right? I adapt, I shift, and that is one essence of leadership, right? As you know it, we learn to. The quicker you shift, the better you are because you don't hold on to. Um, we don't give meaning to things, and so yeah. So the perfectionism was by far the thing that kept me the most stuck, and that's what I also help the people I serve the most, because it's not the perfect diet, it's not the perfect thing. It's like, who are you? How do you feel? Let's get in this journey and trust the process. And the progress is in the process. And the only way out is through. So,
Hmm. Speaking of the only way out is through, earlier you mentioned about being in like a cocoon. And I
mm,
know you just recently shared with me a beautiful story about the mariposa, the butterfly. Would you like to tell us a little bit about why that means so much to you and the metaphor of coming out of your cocoon, but spending the time inwards, reflecting on who you are to be able to get there?
yes, thank you for asking. Um, when I said yes to my life 26 years ago, like a month after, I remember the first tattoo I tattooed myself was a butterfly. And I really identified myself with the process of the transformation I had to undergo. I was willing to go the extra mile. I was willing to be taken in this journey of crushing and pressure and the unknown, right? And the digging in and expressing the emotions. And so early on I identified myself with the butterfly, and then more than just the butterfly was the monarch butterfly that will appear somewhere in places. And this started beautifully the day that my husband proposed. I was in California, and I don't know if you know the story of the monarch butterflies, but they migrate from the cold and they have an internal GPS, and they travel thousands of miles. It's resilient little creatures travel thousands of miles to an unknown place, a tree where they all get together and gather and they mate. So I was like mesmerized in studying the life of the monarch butterfly. Well, that day they were migrating, and I find myself standing there, and all of these butterflies are flying through me. And that moment
Wow,
was surreal, surreal. I'm like, this gotta have some meaning.
that's
And
magical.
so, yeah, it was incredible. And so when we got married, we released monarch butterflies instead of bubbles or throwing the rice. And they each had a meaning. I have many cousins, and so they each released one, and it had a meaning for our marriage. And then later on, it was 4 years ago, actually, wounded butterfly found by my kids. They're, mommy, there's a butterfly and she's wounded, and you care for her so much. So I picked her up, and she was bad shape. I literally put her on a plate, brought her in the house, put her on a plate, and I saw her doing the dance of death. She closed her wings, and in that moment, I was crying. And it's almost like God told me to breathe on her. And later on, I found out it was a she. So I breathed on her, and she started flapping her wings. I have a recording of that because I was honoring of her being dead, but when she came to life, I'm like, she's alive, she's alive. Thank you, God. And she taught me so much, Margarita. She became our Mona pet for the next 9 days. And I when I say she taught me so much, because first of all, I was so present with her in that moment. I learned how curious she was and how we get to be. And also dove deep into, like, in how many ways are we like a monarch butterfly. And so I went in very deeply introspection, and I realized also, like, even towards the end when I released her into freedom, that she never forgot who she was. She never forgot that she wanted to fly. And so it was an honor to have her, and she taught me so much. And you know what happened after I released her? That's when I was having downloads at 3:33 in the morning. I call it Jeremiah 33:3, where it's like you don't know something, but God knows, and God talks to you, and God speaks to me through nature as well. And he gave me the download, and when I looked at it, it spelled Mona. So that becomes the process of transformation. And in a nutshell, is we get to be willing, because when the butterfly becomes a butterfly, which is her true identity, she had to overcome or let go of being in the cocoon or a caterpillar, but she needs to be willing to turn into mush in the process, which is the process of surrender, right? When we resist, if she resists her process in any way, she wouldn't be free butterfly. So that's how I equate the process of transformation into my program, Empowered to the Core.
Wow. So, first of all, I was just going to say, like, that story, I heard it already, and it just I was going to cry again. And I got like full body chills, and it's just beautiful how you really saw like our way of being that gets to be curious and messy, and always remembering the core of who you are, the truth of what it is that you want in the world, and going for it, and surrounding
Mhm.
yourself with people who can support you too, right? Somehow,
Yes.
like, she found you, she knew that you would breathe life back into her, and that, I mean, oh,
And she thanked
beautiful.
me. She thanked me. When I released her one time, she came flying back to my hand and started walking towards it. And I have a video of it. And then she flew. It's almost like she said thank you, And it was like, oh,
That's so beautiful.
yeah.
Oh my gosh. Um, So once we get to that place where we're reframing, we are taking ourselves on, the one thing that I've noticed really is supportive, and I've is having like sacred rituals, and it because it is a devotion. It's like we talked earlier, it's not about a one and done. It is a continuous journey. So, and your work really blends beautifully the faith, science, and your lived wisdom. What are some of the
Mhm.
sacred tools that and practices that you lean on the most to stay resilient and aligned? And how do you teach your clients to embody them?
Yes, that's a great question. I'm a forever student. So yeah, I have my background in psychology, and then I dove into science, and because everything is explained through science, and even God, is explained through science. And so I in my program, so the Empowered to the core is the commitment to climb, right? To keep going. So it's a daily reprieve. So it's a daily commitment to your life. Like, okay, today is my day. What is that I'm committed to creating? And the O stands for opportunity for ownership. So there's situations, circumstances sometimes that don't go our way. And this is where we have an opportunity to look at it and see what is it that belongs to me or what belongs to somebody else and put it in the shelf and check it out later. And owning what is where is your side? Where could you improve? Right. One of my sayings is like, um, what is the biggest room in the world? It is a room for improvement. So as long as you know that there's always an extra step, an extra climb, an extra leap, an extra summit that your higher self, right? So it's an ongoing process. So what belongs to me and own it and then move past. And then the R is responsibility for a regimen. So what works for you on a daily basis? What is in health, I call it the homeostasis. What are your basics, your foundations, right? Are you hydrated, enough sleep? Are you nourishing your body? Are you nourishing your soul? And so, because we are beyond the body, we are spirit beings that have a soul and live in a body, and our soul is our mind, our will, and our emotions. And so we're constantly in check of that and being present with yourself. And so what is the regimen that works with you, right? Everybody's different. I meet people where they're at, and we create something that works for them based on their lifestyle, based on, a single woman is going to have a completely different lifestyle than a married woman with children. So it looks different, but what works for you, so you can follow it, so you can commit to climb, owner, and then responsibility for regimen. And this big one, because I'm emotional regulation strategist, is to embrace the experience. So no matter which way it goes, just accept and go with the flow instead of resisting, because as you know, what you resist persists. So it's just being with you, being present with you at all times instead of on the next thing, really being present for yourself in anything that you do. Yes.
I love that message of being present. So often we find ourselves complaining about the past, worrying about the past, being victim of the past,
Mhm.
worrying about the future. Tomorrow, what am I going to do later for dinner? And we don't spend time in the present moment. So, is there anything that you can share with us that helps you really you notice that you're not in the present moment and then what you do to bring yourself back? Is there like something physical that you do to help you in that?
Yeah, so the M of Mona is the moment and meaning. So it's like, how can you, whenever you find yourself like, or thinking, I'm constantly doing this too, because life is busy sometimes, right? But it's how do you get grounded? And it really is like put your feet on the ground wherever you are and connect to your breath, connect to your heart. There's more neural pathways in your heart than there are in your brain. So there's an amazing communication here. So it's just when you're present is that you can get grounded and allow this to flow, right? And I say, what's in the middle? It's here. So out of your mouth, out of your heart, your mouth speaks. And so also it's the choices that you make. Right. So when you're grounded and you're present for you in that moment, one way that you can do it is by engaging your senses. Five, four, three, two, one. And this is what I teach too, as far as eating something. And it's five things that you can see, four things that you can hear, or four things that you can touch, three things that you can hear, and two things that you can smell, and then one thing that you can taste. And in that moment, I drink water. And the water, why? Because that is the language of our body. We're 71% water. And when we add the heart and the brain, we're 82% water. So that is the language of flow. And it really helps. You're communicating the language to your body, but you're also helping with the flow of any emotion or anything which makes you even more grounded.
Mm, that's beautiful. The fastest I actually when I sit on the computer a lot doing my work, I don't get a chance to really put my feet on the ground. So I buy these grounding mats from Earthing,
Ooh.
and it does the same thing. It's not as I would say as effective at being in nature because there's also the smells, every all the
Mm,
little bacteria that is being spread everywhere that really helps our biodome. So or biology, I should say. And
yeah.
so I love those. And what I heard in all of that was taking a moment to pause.
Pause. The power of the pause. Yes.
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 And a
It
lot of
just being
times,
present.
yes.
Mm,
And it's so important to be grounded because a lot of the times, I think what I also heard you say was when you're not, you're in reactionary position. So you're reacting to the world instead of responding to it. And that's
mhm.
you are, right? Being responsible, having responsibility for how you're showing up, for your self-care. That is definitely one of the things that I learned through the leadership that we've got, I think we've both gone through, is the power of being at a level 4 of responsibility is because you're getting what you're giving.
Yeah.
Was that your experience in your life when you started to shift? You started noticing more synchronicities when you were really aligned with who you are. And I know that you watch numbers a lot, and I started really paying attention to numbers as well. And that's usually what I've noticed is a sign from God and from my higher power telling me, pay attention, there's something here for you to learn. Have you found that to be your situation as well?
Yes. Well, as far as that's part of the awareness, right? My main process is awareness behavior change. So I became aware in the leadership. I've been doing this ABC for a long time. It really is as simple as your ABCs. Because it's a constant pattern, awareness, behavior change. And so is the willingness to see, to become aware and look within. So for me in the journey of leadership and being level 4 responsibility, was to realize in how many ways like the all the misconceptions of responsibility that kept me stuck in like victim, and blame, shame, guilt, right, martyrdom, I have to do it all the stories that I had made up of to me about me, or that I was just because I adapted, right? I was born with a huge responsibility of being a problem solver. So I took it on and and later on I learned in my journey of transformation and soul transformation, I learned like all the different parts of your heart, and you have three actually. You have like your guardian, function, and emotion, and they're not meant to be separated. They're all meant to be in conjunction, working together, and that is being whole, right? Being whole. My function was hardcore because I was a doer, and my emotions were at bay. I didn't want to feel. I was scared of feeling, and then my guardian had done an incredible job protecting me. But it was a matter of like the three of them becoming one and becoming friends, and so I am able to be present in the flow and aware, right? Aware if I'm feeling something, where is this coming from, and then move past it. Um, and yes, numbers are a thing. Just the story I told you, right? At 3:33, I would wake up it would get the downloads. And moreover, 3:33, well, I got married at 33. That's Jesus age 33. It was always my employee number. I don't know why. And I always see it. And my kids were born 3 years and 33 minutes apart. And so it is a super master number in my life. And today I noticed that this is your episode 26, and today is the 26. And 26 years ago is when I said yes to my life. So I
Wow.
mean, that is so good. I mean, it cannot be any more aligned.
I love it. And I go a step further and I add 2 and 6 and it's 8. So that's the infinite number, the number of infinity.
Yes.
And
And
our,
6 divided by 2 is 3,
ah,
and it's three times.
dude. That's amazing. I didn't even think about that, and I just got chills all over
Oh
my
my
right
God, 33.
side. I'm calling it
Yeah.
my right side, my left side.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing. When I see a number and I'm doing something at that time, I'm like, oh, this is aligned. If I send it
Mhm.
at 11:11, or if I send it at 2:44, like there's all these numbers now when I'm paying attention. And I was just like, wow, there's something is magical about to happen if I just pay attention. And a lot of it is
Mhm.
just to take a moment, like, what did you just experience? What did you just hear? What is happening? What did you just think about? And then a
Mhm.
number pops up. Oh, think about it. And then do a step further and learn what the actual numbers, there are different numbers for different meanings. You know, one is usually like the beginning of something, two is balance. So there's so
Mhm.
much to learn about numbers and it's everywhere. Um, Numbers are everywhere.
Yes.
So that's one thing I love about you can't you can't fight fate and you are the creator at all times every time you're
Mhm.
creating your experience, whether it's an experience that you want to experience or one that you love. So that's why I think it's so important what we're thinking and what we're telling ourselves and what we are expressing into the world. One of my trainers, where was I? I was in a training room somewhere, and the woman who was there, she said, for this year, try not to complain. Right? Because what you said, what you resist persists. And complaining is like you're resisting this stuff and all you're doing is
Accepting.
projecting
Yeah.
that frequency into the world and the universe is going, oh, you want more of that, okay, because it's enough. uh, that's why when you go through this process I notice too is how important it is to surround yourself with people who are going to hold you in your light, not be enrolled in your smallness, and people that we grow up with know you being a certain way. And sometimes I found it very difficult for people to take me seriously when I was in this process of healing and going through this transformation. And as a devoted wife and mother and your family is at the heart of your mission, how has your devotion to your family shaped your service? And then what role does community play in your true healing and transformation?
Oh yeah. I mean, it takes a village. I couldn't have done it alone. Um, from the beginning, when I said yes and I came in a room surrounded with people that were accepting of where I'm at, and it gave me permission to start being myself and start speaking the truth instead of being in the world of pretend anymore. And so my family, oh my goodness, my husband, he's been quite my supporter, and I would say even more so now because of my becoming. And it's something that you said. I was like, yeah, even like showing up, like even I was so afraid of showing up because it wasn't perfect. And so now it's like, wait a minute, that is my journey of becoming and showing up exactly as I am, and then learning more. And I have been surrounded with incredible people that have taught me to be, that I felt that I belong, because for the longest time I felt like I didn't belong anywhere. And that is just very hard. It's one of the things that wound you the most. And we all belong somewhere, right? And so what was underneath that was unworthiness. And I was making other people's opinions of me matter more than what I thought about me. And so I've been surrounded with incredible people, and I continue to meet more. Uh, every yes is followed by growth, and followed by meeting more people. Um, my my kids have taught me so much. We think we're here to teach them, right? And mold them and everything, which is a huge responsibility. But they were here to teach me the lessons I had yet learned.
Yes.
And even like more self-compassion, more love, more understanding, right? Um, because I got to tell you, I earned my degree in psychology and my second degree black belt in martial arts, I had a master's in beating myself up. So that was what I knew what to do most. And so when I caught myself being that way with my children, I'm like, wait a minute, what am I doing? And so it's like, again, ownership, and then choosing to be different, and then realize it's like, they're my mirror. This is how I've been treating myself. So to circle it around is almost the same way that I parent them. I choose to parent myself. And this is what I teach others too. You're never too late to parent yourself and to give you the things that you didn't get in the past. Not to blame, not to focus on the past, but every day, every moment is an opportunity for you to be more loving, more self compassionate, and also push yourself to new limits, because that's where the growth is.
Mm. Yes, I love that you said that our children are here to really teach us the spaces that we have yet to heal ourselves from. Because I found myself saying that a lot, especially recently when I made that realization. And, relationships are the same way, in my opinion. All the relationships, when
Mhm.
somebody or something triggers you, it's something that you see within yourself that is gets to have that more compassion, gets to have more of that empathy, of that love, of that understanding, because it really is a mirror of where I am not happy in some subconscious level about who I am. And that
Mhm.
person is mirroring that because it's God's way of saying, hey, there's just a little more to go. So you can reach that higher frequency, that higher state of love and compassion where you manifest like instant
Mhm.
manifestation. I found when you're in that state, there is a lot of alignments that happen. And what you said earlier too about the power of the shift, it's not about not getting to that moment of not having those down times because it's going to happen, life,
Mhm.
but it's like, how long are you willing to sit in the shit scoop and be the victim, or how are you going to victor your way out of it and be like, I am stronger
Mhm.
and more resilient because of this moment. Now I know how to show up powerfully or how to shift faster. And I think life really just brings us those moments of practice to get
Oh
there,
yeah.
right?
It's
And
a it's
it's
a
so
continue. It's your playground. It's life is it's where it's your playground and your battle zone. It's both. So it's just identifying when is the time for what, and when is the time to pause and listen to your heart, to your mind, to your body even. Most of us walk around, our bodies talk to us, we just don't listen sometimes. Yes.
so true. I healed myself from chronic hip pain by listening that I was holding on to guilt and shame from my past. And it was debilitating pain. And I had MRIs and x-rays and all this stuff done, and acupuncture. Doctors are like, can't do anything. And it was debilitating. It took me 2 minutes just to be able to stand up and take my first step. Um,
Wow.
so just
Well, I'm
saying
glad you're healed.
yes, the power of
Yeah.
listening and releasing.
Releasing.
Getting curious.
Exactly.
You brought it earlier about being curious. Like, why, where did this come from? When did I first experience this? What is this really saying? Is this the truth? Or is it am I making it a bigger deal? Like getting curious, I heard too, being such a
Hmm.
powerful tool to allow
Yes.
yourself the space to reflect without judgment and criticism.
Yes, that is a big one. And it's a constant being in that constant state, and then being willing, right? Because it is an unknown territory, fear shows up. And so fear can mean, I mean, like, there's an acronym that it's out there. Is this, is false evidence appearing real? It's also face everything and rise. And what I added is feel everything and release,
Mm,
because it is scientifically proven that emotions that are not expressed find a space in your body. And so we're carrying a lot of the weight that we're carrying, and what's weighing us down for unexpressed emotions. And so because I went through it, I have the capacity to embrace and handle big emotions from other people, because I have the compassion because I've been through it, and also the resilience because I'm on the other side. And also I'm a fighter for truth. And so I help people just go through it because it's scary. It's scary sometimes to dive deep into right. Imagine your pain, your hip pain, especially as women, we hold a lot just because we've been so wonderfully created with the capacity to have babies. You know, we hold a lot in our womb and we hold a lot around the womb as well. And hence the empower to the core being like the essence of who you are, but also the protection of like this is your most vulnerable area, and it's your gut, and your gut is like we call it, right, the second brain, could be the first brain, because that's where your serotonin and dopamine are actually produced. So when it's the body aspect is messy and dirty, it is, we get to release and detoxify. And also the emotional toxicity is also another aspect. So we're complex beings. So it's not just one thing. We embrace the body, we honor the emotions, and then and we release what doesn't serve us so we can be empowered and be
Yes.
healthy and whole.
Yes. Like we definitely are complex beings, but the process really is simple.
Mhm.
It's not easy to do sometimes, but it's super simple.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm hoping that enough people who watch this Sparkcast will recognize that it is simple and it's just a matter of choice and it's a matter of loving yourself enough. And that's where it starts.
Yes.
I think for me, I'm noticing the deepest rooted layer on the bottom is the worthiness conversation. The not
Yeah.
enoughness is about worth, you know? Um,
Yeah.
so there are women listening out right now who still feel stuck, or maybe feel stuck in self-sabotage, or maybe even disconnected from their own heart health. What heartfelt reminder or invitation would you leave with them to remember that they are not alone and that their next step home is back to themselves?
Yes, and I love that, by the way. It's come home to you because it really is it's a beautiful message. It really is the essence of becoming, is embracing you and being in you, and accepting the things that accepting it all, right? And so it takes courage. And so I invite to really hold on to it, like really give that different meaning to that fear, which is you feel everything and you release. um you get to, it's a gift. As I said earlier, self-expression is not just a gift, it's a responsibility. And own your voice, speak up, be present, embrace all that you are. It's never too late. If you have breath in your lungs and your heart beats without you asking them, then you are here for a purpose and for a big reason. And that is, it's a beautiful journey to discover the why. And I work with finding your core values. Like, what is it that you really value in life? What do you want? And then also being led by a vision, and let that be the biggest thing, your biggest North Star that takes you everywhere, that leads you everywhere. And then any hurdle, any obstacle, will be able to be surpassed because you're you're going for something. And so that we start with a why, we start with a vision, and with that, anything that gets in the way will be small in comparison to where you can get. Just know that you matter, that you are enough, and that the journey and the process are so worth it because you are worthy.
Yes, I really truly felt that. I felt like you were speaking directly to me. So thank you for just being open and a vessel of love with that. It's so beautiful to know that taking yourself on because we are worthy.
Hmm.
And what stood out for me, what you said was really about starting with your why, with your
Hmm.
vision of why. Because if there's no vision for your why, all the other things start to fall flat because you don't have a sight of why you're doing it, and the noise can get really loud. So I love that invitation to start with your why, create that vision of why and just knowing that you are enough, you're not broken, you're becoming whole,
Hmm.
in
Hmm.
the truth of who you are. Wow,
And may
Valerie,
I
this,
add to know
yes.
to know your value, and the value is an acronym for vulnerable. Vulnerable is your superpower. It's not a sign of weakness. Authentic, who you are. Authentic, just really to thine own self be true. If you are, you can pretend to the world everything you want, but at the end of the day, it is you that look at yourself in the mirror, and how have you been authentic? That's who you get to live with for the rest of your life. And so if you don't like something, you can change it, but being authentic, accepting of just your essence, your presence. Then my dog is barking. Then L is for loving, being loving to you. That's with the presence, the essence of self-compassion. Then the you is being uniquely you. It is your uniqueness that makes you different. Don't compare yourself with others. That is a thief of joy. And the E is for embrace your emotions. Don't be afraid to feel. Feelings don't kill you. And so, and like I said it before, um, the only way out is through. So feeling the emotions, expressing them, and releasing them. That's a way of setting yourself free to be
Mm,
you.
yes. I love that you are an acronyms queen. I wrote those all down. They're gold. I love it. And sometimes going through the process, going through it can seem very scary. And
Mhm.
I love what you said about vulnerability. It's not, um, courage is without, okay, what am I trying to say? Strength, having the
Mhm.
courage to go
Mhm.
through the fear, because I don't think anybody ever would say that they didn't feel courageous going through something that they were afraid of. It takes courage to do something that is fearful, or an unknowing. And then at the end of the day, ask yourself, but did you die? You didn't die. You survived it. So it's going to be okay on
Exactly.
the other side. Just take yourself on and be curious. Like, the moment you start to change is when the moment you decide to make a different decision, to choose something different than your normal. And that's when transformation really starts to take hold, when you decide to pause and be like, wow, I need to do something different, because the results that I'm getting already I don't like. So in order to get new results, you got to do something new with your life. Um,
Yes.
yes. So
And
this
I love that you
is
said that because it's true. It's like courage is not the absence of fear, it's doing the things in spite of the fear. And courage stems from the word in Latin, cora, which is heart.
mm,
So courage comes from your heart. So give your heart the opportunity to expand and to be. And yes, when you're on the other side, then you look back and you're like, wow, I was that afraid of that. And then you become stronger to tackle the next thing. It is in the process, that is the process of becoming. So that it's a beautiful gift. It becomes
yes.
like a dance.
Oh, I love dancing. So yes, I'm all about that. Well, Valerie, this has really been a beautiful and empowering, powerful conversation. So, for those
Mm.
of us who want to go deeper and learn more about your work, where can our listeners find you and connect with you?
Yeah, you can connect to me with me in social media. My business page, I haven't worked on it very much because I've been expanding with my husband's practice and doing everything in there as well as a health coach. And you can follow me in my social media, Valerie Ireland, Valery B Ireland. I kept the B for a reason. And Instagram or Facebook, I have shared a link with Margarita, which she's going to post it, where you can have I have a gift there for you, the 7 strategies to avoid self-sabotage. And that's my gift to you. And also, I've opened my calendar to do complimentary optimal health consultations. So you can follow the link in there as well, and you can book your appointment with me. And yeah, so um, really didn't talk very much about health, but health is your wealth. And I just want to leave you with one thing. Um, a healthy person has many wishes, but a person that doesn't have his health or her health only has one. And you can imagine which one that is. So this is the real state of your spirit and your soul, and it's your license to live in this world. And so it's important to take care of your body, and honor it as it is, like I said, the real state of your spirit and your soul. So,
Yes, and I just want to circle back and tie it in. Earlier, Valerie mentioned that emotions, energy in motion gets to move. If you don't express it, it gets stuck. And what happens when it's stuck? Dis-ease happens.
mhm,
So if you're not healthy,
yes.
I would invite you to get curious about what you're holding on to. What story are you holding on to being right about that is not serving you?
Mhm.
Well, in this
It's so good.
conversation, yes, so good. We were reminded that self-expression is a gift and that transformation really begins with the willingness to change. Valerie invited us to step out of our comfort zones and trust that you get to build the bridge as you're walking through it. Through her wisdom, we see that you are perfectly imperfect. And the process
Mhm,
is always more important than the perfection. And sometimes the faster you shift, the faster you transform your experiences. She
mhm,
calls us to be the monarch butterfly of your transformation. With curiosity as your compass, Valerie reminded us to surrender to the process of doing it messy and to stay committed to what we are creating. She also asked us to consider what is at your core, CORE, knowing that the biggest room in the world is for improvement. Healing is not
yeah.
about being broken, but about returning to wholeness because you're not broken, you're becoming.
Mhm,
Throughout our exchange, Valerie shared the importance also of being responsible for your well being, meeting yourself where you are, and embracing every experience with flow, because what you resist will only persist. And she
mhm.
offers practical wisdom too. Get out of your head and drop into your heart
Heart.
and engage your senses with the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 presence moment. And remember that hydration is the language of flow. And sometimes it really is as simple as ABC: awareness, behavior, change. Her voice is a gentle reminder to pause, reflect, and give yourself self-compassion, to express your emotions, because expressing your emotions is literally healing you. To parent yourself as much as you parent your children, because our children are our teachers. And they're here to show us where we still get to heal. She invited us to surround ourselves with those who see us in our light and power, to remember we are all belonging, and that our own opinion of ourselves is the most important one. She left us with the courage to step forward in love, to accept ourselves fully, to be in fear, feel everything and release, and to be courageous and express yourself freely and owning your voice. If this
Oh,
conversation sparked something within you, if your heart cracked open just a little more, maybe you felt seen and heard, or simply not alone, I ask you to please share this and subscribe to our channel, because when you do, this content can reach more of the women who need the reminder that she is not alone and that her voice matters and that healing is possible. Remember, you're exactly where you're meant to be. Until next week, sisters, keep shining, keep rising, keep coming home, because you matter. You are enough exactly as you are. I am your host, Margarita Rose, and this is Coming Home to You Sparkcast. I'll see you next week. Same Spark channel, same time.
thank you.